already won. The enemy sometimes doesn't know it yet. When David faced Goliath, he already was victorious. Goliath just didn't know it yet. That's what God is calling us to do. But I'm telling you, it took me 4 months wrestling with God, wrestling with myself. And I'm standing in front of you a scared man. And I know that's hard for you to believe. Because it's not very easy to scare a man like me. But I'm scared. I'm scared to mess things up. I'm scared to engage into... I say it. Politics is like a human manure in a sewer canal. You get too close, you get splashed, and you stink. You jump in, you stink. You need a shower. And I'm telling you, I have been with politicians all my life. And usually after the meetings, I take a shower. Sorry. Sometimes when I shake some of those people's hands, I need to go and wash it. I feel yucky, you know. It's like when you're handling fish. And this one is not good. It's stinking from the head all the way to the tail. So I'm not doing this because I want to enjoy the ride. I'm scared of this ride, but I know that sometimes you have to engage yourself into doing things that you're not comfortable. And you don't want to really do it. I love to be a pastor. I love to feed the poor. I love baptizing people. I love teaching theology and history. I love what I do. I don't look for another job. I actually don't want another job. I want to be a pastor. But I realized that those people will not allow me to be just a pastor. So I'll become a pastor politician then. And what was chasing... And what was chasing me yesterday, I'll be chasing tomorrow. So, I have a speech, I'll read it to you. Here's what I wanted to do. I mean, typical pastor, right? I just said, I'm just going to make an announcement, like 2 sentences, and then I'll go and teach some lesson. And as I did the first few lines, I said, no, you can't brush it off like this. It's too big of a deal in a bigger scale to just I'm going to be running and let's just move on into another lesson. So I started to put my heart on the paper, and here it is. Amen. So I have an announcement to make. After months of prayers and waiting on God's confirmation, we as a family have decided to throw ourselves into the hands of destiny. We can no longer avoid the calling of responsibility. I will be running in the upcoming leadership race for the Independence Party of Alberta, and later on for the position of member of the Legislative Assembly in the province of Alberta. I have come to this realization that the corrupted politicians, will not let me live my life in peace and will not allow me to be a pastor, which I am called and love to be. Therefore, I will become pastor politician. And the evil that was chasing me yesterday, I'll chase tomorrow. Amen. Woo! The past few years have showed us that the level of lawlessness and corruption has reached new heights. And it will require someone that has the spine and the willingness to get the biggest plunger in Alberta and drain the swamp. By the way, I already have one. It's big. I don't know if it's big enough, but it's a good start. And it's blue. Like our Alberta flag, I look at it, it's like, oh my God, this is symbolism. Right here in my own washroom. Can you imagine get the revelation in your own washroom by looking at the plunger? I'm telling you, God has a sense of humor. I learned about his sense of humor when I joined a Polish church a long time ago. Our pastor, an awesome man, awesome pastor, was taller by a head than me, and his elder was shorter by a head than me. And when they walked together, it was the funniest thing we ever saw. It was absolutely funny. And I look at this and I said, God, you have a sense of humor. You do. And I know every time you look at the mirror, you look and you say, God has a sense of humor. I had to pick on you just once at least. So, drain the swamp that has pillaged and contaminated our beloved Alberta for far too long. I have been avoiding this moment for a long time. However, I believe that I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? So I could no longer pretend that he was not calling me. And finally I said, here I am, send me. Amen. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? We have to start somewhere. I said, let's start here in our beloved Alberta. We have to go and remind people that there is a living God. That he loves them and that it is not his will that they should perish. We have to remind this land that God is calling us back to him, and he wants to make this land once again glorious and free. Freedom and prosperity will come back to us when we decide to come back to God, who established this land for us that we proudly call home. So I will do my best to walk in the footsteps of the legends from the past, like William Eberhard, the 7th Premier of Alberta from 1935 to 1943. The Premier that was known as Bible Bill for his outspoken Christian views. An estimated 300,000 people in and near Alberta tuned into the Bible Bill every Sunday as he preached his weekly sermons. A pastor and a premier in one. Just like Samuel was a judge, was a politician, a ruler at the time, and a priest. He never separated those two callings. Those two callings was one calling. The Bible Hour had a higher Hooper rating in Alberta than Jack Benny, whose program followed. I'll do my best to follow in the footsteps of Ernest Manning, best remembered as Alberta's premier from 1943 to 1968, the longest serving premier in the Commonwealth. And as a host of Canada's National Bible Hour for nearly half a century. These dual roles exemplify his practice of integrating Christianity with every area of his life. Think about it, today's politicians, they have two hats. They have one during the election. And when you listen to them, you will not believe them because I am telling you, they know how to talk. Brilliant. Unbelievable. Straight to the point. And you listen to their words, you really want to believe them. Because they're telling you the things you want to hear. And then somehow they become schizophrenic, or maybe they were schizophrenic to begin with, because then on Monday they put another hat. Me, I am myself, and a sky palace. I'll do my best to follow, not in their footsteps, but in the footsteps of those two great Christian premiers of Alberta. Here are a few things that I'll follow learning from Mannings' life. 25 consecutive years as premier, Ernest Manning was defined by strong social conservatism and fiscal conservatism. He was an outspoken critic of government involvement in society. If he was alive today, he would say to those nice Nazi officers, "Get out. Get out, and don't come back with a warrant, without the warrant." Constantly publicly denouncing socialism and communism before, while, and after becoming premier. Manning remained as anti-communist all his life. He remained. Instead, he encouraged strong religious, individual, and corporate initiatives in addressing and solving social issues. Manning believed that the government was there to motivate and give direction, not to intervene and carry the load. It's not the government officials' business who you have in your house. It's not their business to tell us if we can worship our God or not. On his radio broadcast, Manning emphasized the individual side of faith. It was thus consistent for him to stress less government and more individual responsibility. It's amazing. Sometimes I'm thinking, were those people real? Were they actually a living human politicians? His emphasis was on the life-changing effect of a commitment to Jesus Christ. And he wanted his listeners to understand that their parents, church, or good works could not make them Christians. As individuals, they were responsible for their own spiritual condition and destiny. Being a pastor and a politician, I am promising you this, that I will continue in preaching the truth, and I will always stand for people's rights to choose their own path. Ernest Manning's radio preaching, which spanned 46 years, blended evangelical pietism with an emphasis on the messages of the Bible's prophetic books. He spoke often of the need for national spiritual revival and urged Christians to live in a light